Well, it's time for a review of what happened in January in the Isle of Man, although we are yet again doing this in Perth. I think it's what we did last year, didn't we?
It's a year ago, yes.
Happened to be in the right place at the right time for you. I've asked you to look at the stories. I know you keep in touch with the Isle of Man and you've got family and friends still there. So what's taken your fancy?
I think in the last few days it's been the Chief Minister's apology to the gay community about the whole episode involving changing the laws on homosexuality. I mean, it's nearly 30 years ago since that all blew up in the Isle of Man, and it does seem incredible that apology has come so late in the day, but at least he's done it, and hopefully we can move on now.
It was just another world. I mean, we both were at Manx Radio at the time. The Man Online would have calls every day. I mean, you couldn't get away with it, what you could say in those days. And it wasn't a nice place, I guess, in those days.
It was a great time to be a reporter.
Yes.
It was not a great time for the Isle of Man, I have to say. A very polarised debate, bigotry on all sides, and I think that it's just a chapter that in the Isle of Man we just need to put behind us now, and I think the Chief Minister's done the right thing. I hope that the community who were affected by all of those laws at the time can accept that apology and move on, because until we move on we can't close the chapter.
But it's got to be remembered, I mean, people died. People's families were broken up. And Alan Shay's interview with me was, reminded me about the bisexual people who maybe had children since then and have been stigmatised. Do you think there'll be compensation or something like that involved here?
Oh, well, that's a big question, isn't it? And it's interesting. It would take a lawyer to tell you whether anybody would have grounds for that. I just think it was not a good time for the Isle of Man. And, of course, I think it was the lag behind what the UK Parliament had done.
They've already done this, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, they changed the law 25 years ahead of the Isle of Man, but also the apology and the expunging of the convictions is also taken 3 years to get to the same place where we did with England and Wales. So anyway, we're here now. Let's hope that we can move on.
Okay, what's next?
Well, interestingly enough, we are in Perth in Western Australia, and only at the end of the year Perth actually approved some voluntary assisted dying legislation. And I did notice that the Isle of Man, Tynwald, has just had a chew at that in the last couple of weeks as well.
Yeah. It's sort of parked it looks like. It's going to be more of an election issue, I'm getting my feeling on this now.
I wouldn't be at all surprised, because just like homosexuality, just like abortion, it's one of the modern topics of the day, and it isn't going to go away. I mean, anecdotally, among friends and family, and there are a lot of people who want to see this legislation. I think the politicians want to drag behind what is happening anecdotally because they don't want to tackle it, and that's not just in the Isle of Man, that's everywhere. It's a big issue, it isn't going away. And I think it's a bit of a shame that Tynwald, just as you say, parked it. They could have been bigger than that. In the Isle of Man, it is probably easier to do than it is in a larger place.
Well, because Dr. Alex Allison was doing this, he did abortion, so you've got this credibility of a doctor. There's been a lot of views here about it. We're going to cover this as well. We've got interviews lined up to talk more about it, because it's a softly approach here. It's only the second state to bring it in, and it's going to be within 6 months of end of life anyway, so you've got to get 2 doctors signing off. So this is probably a start of a 10 almost.
And I think that's the way that it's going to go. Yes, some people just want the right to choose whenever, and I think that's a massive step. But also you can't drag behind the times just for that one person who may get caught up with somebody stealing their money.
There will be one, won't there?
There will be one, but you can't legislate for the masses because of one person. There will be, but that's happening now.
Sure. Some people say the doctors still probably help you along your way, but necessarily some doctors may not. It means this is a right to...
It's the lottery of it all, isn't it? I just think, for me, I actually believe that I should have the right. I don't have children, so I don't have anybody who's going to be able to look after me, and I think that if I'm of a sound mind, and I think I should have that choice, just like I believe that I should have the choice to have an abortion if I want to have an abortion. And I think that we have to remember that we're living in different worlds than when this legislation was introduced, and I think that the Isle of Man government will have to tackle it at some point.
Finally, what's your third item to talk about?
Well, actually, I just wanted to say hello and congratulations to an old friend and old journalistic colleague, Bill Dale, for his nice little piece in National Geographic.
Oh, yeah.
And he has taken what was a walk on the beach to mobilising all of those people in the Isle of Man, getting international credit for it, and I say well done, Bill.
So fascinating to talk to Bill each time because he's got stories upon stories about he's been asked to go here, there. You know, it's a thing that's got.
It's a whole new career for him.
Yeah, but he's such a nice guy about it as well. It hasn't gone to his head at all. I mean, he just wants more people engaging in thinking about the environment, which is absolutely amazing, isn't it?
Maybe he should stand for the next general election.
On that note, I think we'll leave it. Thank you, Sheena, very much.
You're welcome.
Maybe this next year, I don't know. Depends where she is in the world.